What's up, guys? I am back. I know that this is a voice that you've not heard in a long time, but I am back. This is Jeff, by the way. What you're seeing right now is my first F1 2022 video, or F1 22, I guess it's technically called. I got the game a couple days earlier, got the Champions Edition, so I've been playing it for a bit now. This is Saturday. The game's official release was yesterday. The early release was on Wednesday, so I've been playing now for 3 days or so, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm having a really nice time playing the game. I really like it, and I'm now jumping into my team. And you saw at the beginning of the video, just showing off my livery a little bit. Some people maybe won't like it, and that's fine. I do think it looks pretty cool personally, so I'm excited to use it and maybe tweak it a bit as I unlock some more liveries from the podium pass and that kind of thing. But for now, that's what we've got, and that's what we're running with. We, of course, are at Bahrain for the first race. I am doing 100% again, as I've done previously. Well, only once previously. I don't always do it, but one thing that is a little bit different here is that I have chosen to start as a championship contender, which you couldn't do in the past games. In the past games, you would start out with a really terrible car, and you had to work your way up from there and try to be better. One thing I want to call your attention to here, a couple guys with grid penalties, which I thought was really interesting because I don't know that I've ever seen AI get a grid penalty for anything other than engine components or gearboxes or whatever. So I was somewhat surprised to see a couple guys with grid penalties, but it does end up helping me out a little bit because Charles Leclerc qualified P3, had a 5-place grid penalty. I qualified P8, so he actually moves down right below me, and I'm starting P7. So it's a win-win for me. Mercedes lock out of the first row, and they were within .001 seconds of each other, which is bizarre. That's insane. That's wild. So that happened. But look at this, P7. So we're starting pretty well here. About 92% of land in Bahrain is desert. Doesn't surprise me. Pan about a little bit here and take a look at what the pre-race looks like. They have changed how the nighttime races look a little bit. It just previously it was just really dark. You would start a race in Bahrain and it was just really dark the whole time. I think that livery looks nice. But now it's a little bit different. So I want to call your attention to this. It looks like we're going to have a one-stopper here. Go soft in the mediums. You see me take the fuel down to 57.1 laps, 93 kilograms. That becomes important. I won't tell you why, but just watch the video and you'll see why. But historically what I've done in every single game is I've put my fuel right on the line and overfueled by 0.1 laps maybe. You see, I stopped way early there, and get reset, I guess, to my other starting position, or back to the back of the box, I guess. That was literally the first time that I had done the formation lap and ease into your spot. So I think I'll only get better with that. I just needed to wait a little longer, I think, and now we know, right? Now we know. So P7. 5 red lights, away we go. I don't get a great start here. Oscar Piastri, my teammate, is actually right behind me. I have a bit of a moment there. Definitely lose some time. And also just go a little bit deep and almost run into the back of Valtteri Bottas. But was able to stay clean. And it looks like I'm going to be P6 or P7 depending on how this goes. And Valtteri gets past me, so I'm P7 now. Charles Leclerc on the mediums. The only person around me who started on the mediums is making quite a run at it, and they bump a little bit there, and I might have made contact, but I'm not positive. I didn't get any damage. I don't check it, I don't think, but the MFD didn't pop up on the vehicle condition and tell me that I had damage, so I didn't have damage, which is a good thing because we've got 57 laps to go, and the last thing I want is lap 1 damage. So at this point, and look at this. Pierre Gasly just flies past me. So I have to say I've been somewhat perplexed by the AI in this game. Okay, so I've done some time trial work, just getting ready for my first league race. But obviously you don't interact with AI in that, so it's sort of irrelevant. It was a bit cheeky. I might have cut Lando off a little bit there, but AI always cuts me off at that corner. So I don't know what he wants me to do there. You see me get a good run into this corner, and that perseveres throughout this race. I just seem to get a lot better time into that corner than the AI does, and it was a good opportunity to make up significant amounts of time throughout the race. Not every lap, but on most laps, it was a pretty good place for me to make up some time, so that was nice. But anyway, the AI is just really perplexing me in this game. I mean, first of all, the levels, I'm probably 20 points lower on AI than I was for F1 2021, which is fine, right? I mean, I think hopefully Jarno Watmir maybe has a little bit more difficulty than he ever did previously on 110 AI. So maybe they just scaled it up a little bit and made it a little bit harder. So that, I guess, is good. As long as you can find a level that works for you, then I think all's well that ends well, right? But as it currently stands, the AI is just doing things that I don't expect. I mean, you saw Pierre Gasly get such a better exit from one of those corners than I did on the first or second lap. And I couldn't get that kind of exit on that corner at that time. And maybe other laps I get a good exit. You see me pass Valtteri there, cheeky little pass. I like that. Made it stick. Love that. But and then you think about the turn that I've pointed to earlier in this video, and I always get a better exit than they do. So I'm somewhat perplexed. I do say AI making more mistakes, which I think is really good. It makes it more engaging to race against the AI. Sort of wheel banging there with Oscar Piastri, my teammates. I hope that we don't have to have a talk with the team. It would have been a real shame if we'd crashed each other out there, but fortunately we don't. And I get past them, and you see me check my vehicle condition there just to make sure I didn't get any damage. And I didn't. I was fine. Fast forward a bit, I'm catching up to Charles Leclerc and trying to get a good run at him here. We're on lap 11, and you may have seen that my strategy was a one-stopper going soft to the mediums. That was my personalized strategy, and I often find that I get a little less tire wear than the game thinks I'm going to get. And this was an opportunity for me to hopefully make a one-stop work at the expense of other drivers. You see these guys pitting a little earlier, and what was initially suggested to me by the game was a two-stop going soft, medium, which I didn't think was a good idea. I mean, I think if anything, I was just going to go to hards, and if I couldn't make the soft and medium work. But you see me hitting my pit window here on lap 16. I am in first. I've got the fast lap, so we're doing okay at this point in the race. The only thing I will call your attention to, if you look at my steering wheel, is that I am underfueled by about 0.7 laps at this point. And I'm well aware. You see me play the pitting mini game, get the optimal turn in. Estimated stop time of 2.2 seconds to 2.5 seconds. We are right on the dot at 2.5, and that works out perfectly. We're good with that. And we come out of the pits and have a little bit of a moment there. I almost bend it, which would have been unfortunate. But the tires are very, very cold. I just go a little deep there, and these guys get past me with ease. And I am scrambling right now. We've got Sainz and Hamilton to pass me as well. Hopefully not, but their tires are certainly working a lot better than mine are at this point. And Sainz is on the soft, so of course his are going to be working better than mine are. Sainz, Perez gets by. We've got Hamilton right there. And he's on hards. These are relatively new hards because he just pitted a lap or two ago, as you may have seen. But there was really nothing I could do here. They were just a lot faster than me at this point. And I think that's going to be the case until I get the tires a little bit more warmed up. You can see they're around 169, 170, and then you fast forward a bit, and we're up to the mid-180s to 190. So they've warmed up, and they're hopefully doing what they're supposed to do at this point, and hopefully will continue to do for the rest of the race. As I said, I'm on a one-stop, and I'm trying to make these mediums work for the rest of the race. So the strategy at this point, I'm already well aware that fuel is going to be an issue, that I'm in serious trouble. What I would prefer to avoid is going into low fuel mode at some point in this race. So my whole goal for the rest of this race is damage limitation in terms of trying to avoid running out of fuel, because that will be disastrous to me. So at the moment, I'm trying to really push past these guys on the hards and using fuel to do that. And hopefully I find myself in a position where I have a bit of a lead. or a bit of security, and I can ease off, lift and coast a little bit, and hopefully make this fuel last to the end of the race, because I'm under fuel by roughly 0.9 laps after getting past George Russell there. So, guys, I'm in serious trouble. This is not good. And now I know that I can't under fuel like that. But so it's the first long run that I'd done. I hadn't done a 50 or 100 yet. So I recognize that I'm in trouble, and hopefully this won't happen again. But I guess it needed to happen once for me to understand that it was a complete screw up on my part. So we'll limit damage as much as we can. You see me lifting and coasting a little bit there. We were at about negative 0.9 laps. Like I said, guys, I'm in trouble. But I do get to P2. Sainz and Verstappen both pitted. I'm now down to roughly underfueled by half a lap. So we are getting there. But there's a little bit of give and take here, okay? So Leclerc pits, and we're going to watch this very closely here to see where he comes out, because his hards are going to be much fresher than my tires by the end of the race. And I'm aware of that, and I think I can stay in front of Russell, but Leclerc is going to be pretty problematic, I would say. And he very quickly gets past Russell, as you see. And he's coming up on me. So you see Vettel get past me there. I was lifted, so I passed him. He's a back marker. I do a little bit of lift and coasting, and we're now in this position. I thought he was going to back off here, and he doesn't. He goes right into the side of me, and admittedly, that's on me. But I really thought as a back marker with blue flags, bro was going to step off a little bit, but he didn't, and I've now got wing damage, and the game actually suggested that I pit, but as you may have heard, wing damage is a little bit less impactful in this game. You can still drive throughout the race even with wing damage. So I decided it's not worth it to go waste 25, 30 seconds in the pits changing a front wing when I can still manage it. But, again, I'm still in trouble with the fuel. I'm under fueled by half a lap here. We've got 17, 18 laps to go. Leclerc is faster than I am, but I do have the benefit of DRS. And my thinking is I need to stay within a second of this guy and hopefully benefit from the DRS. And I don't know if this is true, but it feels to me like you would use less fuel with DRS engaged just because you're I don't know, the car is working not as hard to go the same speed. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of my whole goal. Just try to stay behind Leclerc, benefit from the DRS, save fuel when I can. And also just going faster. I mean, even if I'm not burning less fuel with DRS open, the idea is that I will be going faster, so I can lift and coast at the end of straights and still stay within decent range of him. Cut George Russell off a little bit there. Sorry about it, bud. But, hey, what are you going to do? So lap 43 here. Charles Leclerc still about a second in front of me. I'm somewhat worried here. The reason I'm showing you this is because I do get a little bit worried here about the traffic, okay? So he's about a second and a half ahead of me at this point. We go around the corner. Ricardo is completely in my way. He does get out of the way, but at this point, the Leclerc lead is 1.5 seconds, coming down a little bit because I'm pushing just as hard as I can. The mediums are hopefully still carving out a decent path on the road, but I'm able to get back within 1 second of Charles Leclerc, other than that little moment there. But actually, I think I might get out of range here just because of that moment. Fast forward, no, not fast forward, but I did not get DRS there. But as we've mentioned previously, this corner coming up is a really good opportunity for me to catch up with the AI because they just don't do as well. And you may be able to tell that I am feeling the wing damage a little bit. These tires are also getting pretty old at this point. I'm getting somewhat worried about grip. But I do stay within a second of Leclerc here, and I will get DRS, assuming that nothing crazy happens in the next 2 or 3 seconds here. But I'm within range at the detection zone, so I'm still okay for now. But you look at the steering wheel, I'm still very worried about the fuel situation here. Yuki gets in my way a bit. I have to slow down, and I lose serious time to Leclerc. He's up to 1.6 seconds ahead. Coming down a little bit, but maybe not enough. And I think at this point he might actually be out of reach. So I'm going to push here a little bit to try to catch up with him. You see me, I think I hit the overtake. I may not hit the overtake, actually. But he's well and truly out of range at this point. His tires are better than mine at this point. So fast forward, we're on the last lap of the race. I'm still under fueled by half a lap of fuel. We have one whole lap to go, so you do the math here. I'm thinking best case scenario, I get P5 at this point because I am going to hit low fuel mode. I guarantee it at some point in this lap. I've got 0.3 laps of fuel left. I'm going super aggressive defense against George Russell. I'm taking the inside line, pushing him to the outside, and just trying to stay ahead of him for as long as humanly possible. Because he's going to get by me when I run out of fuel. But if I run out of fuel, hopefully very late, and just can use my overtake, use the battery, I don't know. I'm doing anything I can at this point. I'm in shambles right now. And I let George Russell by right here to save a little fuel and hopefully get DRS. And I think that maybe helps me a little bit. I do get DRS. You see me hit it. But you also see almost immediately the caution flag comes out because I've run out of fuel. And I am in low fuel mode. Sergio Perez flies by me. I did not even put up a fight. Sainz and Verstappen, you look at those deltas, they are very, very, very quickly coming down. It was like 7.5 seconds when I ran out of fuel. It's now under 5 seconds for Sainz, under 5 seconds for Verstappen, under 4 seconds now for both of them. I've got no hope here. I take the inside line, kind of thinking if I can beat them to the end of the straight, maybe I can defend against them a little bit, but I also can't beat them to the end of the straight because I'm out of fuel. The good news is that Hamilton is over 12 seconds behind me, and he just doesn't have time to catch me. So I end up with P6 here, which all things considered I think is okay. You know, I could have done better. If I hadn't run out of fuel, if I had fueled up correctly, I would have been better off. I think probably P2, P3, somewhere in that range. If I hadn't gotten the wing damage, P1 was a real possibility, I think. But the pace was limited throughout the very ending there, and I ran out of fuel, obviously, which didn't help. But I did get the fast lap, so that's an extra point. Oscar Piastri's in the points as well. So all things considered, I think this is a pretty solid first race, but I'm certainly going to put more fuel in the car moving forward and hopefully never run into this situation ever again.